I presume you're here in order to learn of magecraft. I'll have you know, there's no room for the weak-willed in this course, and despite your best efforts, the sorcery of our time is but a fraction of what it once was in the Age of Gods. Much of the craft is established through pedigree, and the culture of mages is riddled with deception and moral depravity. That said, if you insist, I shall do my best to educate you in this miserable, yet fascinating world. In our previous lesson, we covered how Ciel of the Burial Agency was forcibly turned into one of the most powerful mages out there. She demonstrates various ways in which mages can empower themselves for better or worse. Today's lesson will be more specific, covering the rare and obscure practice of beast magecraft, otherwise known as bestial magecraft. Not to be confused with the beasts of humanity, bestial magecraft is the process of channeling the instincts, appearance, and abilities of more primitive, yet otherwise advantageous creatures. Essentially, we're dealing with a kind of enhancement spell. It's not unusual for mages to strengthen their bodies for added might and agility during combat. With Mystery's decline, taking up martial arts is more or less a requirement for the modern mage. The difference here is that bestial magecraft draws upon other animals as inspiration for that enhancement. For example, one might yearn to have the heightened sense of smell dogs are known for. We envy how cats can see better in the dark than us. Our aspiration to run as fast as a horse or even a cheetah is actually attainable with the help of magic. One method is to allow oneself to be possessed by an animal spirit, such as a Japanese kitsune or inukami. Needless to say, this is a dangerous process that involves surrendering your own consciousness to that of the possessor. You'd be lucky enough to contend with an alternate personality, as otherwise, your mortal flesh would be a mere vessel for the Japanese spirit. Regardless, this is still a valid means of acquiring power. On the flip side, one might consider familiars to be an extension of beast magecraft. By possessing the corpse of an animal, mages can vicariously harness abilities beyond their own body. Roland Brzezinski, a student of the El Malloy classroom, supposedly employs thousands of snake familiars to hunt across the globe. It is far more effective than trying to fight on his own. To an extent, mages don't need to be strong themselves, so long as they have the resources to compensate. If a bird, for instance, can do our flying for us, do we really need a pair of our own wings? Perhaps not, but there are advantages to using beast magecraft in its proper form, that being self-modification. By trading away one's own humanity, one can transform oneself physically when needed, not unlike the popular visage of a werewolf. I mention humanity because practitioners of this craft often suffer from lycanthropy, adopting not only physical traits, but mental ones as well. At its worst, a mage will become just as wild and primitive as the animals they hope to emulate. This is precisely why very few bestial mages still exist. The most successful of these mages are found within the Glassite family. Even in the face of madness, Glassite mages continue to force their magic crest onto new generations. The current heir to the Glassite name is Sven, a boy often valued more for his role as a container than as an actual mage. Rather than learn or innovate, he is expected to receive his family's magic and succumb to its influence. His individual goals and dreams are destined to wither as his bestial talent improves. Contrary to a mage's usual ambition, his family's end goal is for him to abandon his own ego. More precisely, his will shall merge with that of his ancestors. The typical result is a mental collapse, and yet Sven proved stoic in the face of these factors. No matter how blurred his identity became, he survived to become the family's greatest success. This wasn't exactly an excuse to celebrate. With a success on their hands, the Glassite family ran horrific experiments on Sven to test his regenerative capacity. This involved peeling away his skin and submerging his limbs in boiling oil. Understandably, this has led Sven to despise his craft and pursue a broader set of mage talents. He got his chance when enrolling in the Clock Tower. Given his relatively unimpressive birthright, Sven was assigned to Norwich, the Department of Modern Magecraft. There, he was tutored by Lord El Malloy II, who was able to understand his struggles and teach him how to best utilize his talents. At school, Sven's rival, Vlad Iscardos, refers to him as Le Chien, or the dog in French. Calling him this undesired nickname forces them to fight on campus, each providing the other with a formidable challenge. Observing this, the rest of the class have named them the Twin Jewels. Turns out, Vlad is perfectly justified in seeing Sven as a dog, respectfully of course. Rather than words, Sven better understands people by scent. Of El Malloy's students, one has a rather unique scent that drives Sven to infatuation. Gray, the professor's bodyguard, is a fellow outcast who is also forced to inherit her family's ambition. Unfairly, she was made the vessel for King Arthur's prophesied return. Feeling a sense of camaraderie, Sven hopes he and Gray can lick each other's wounds, so to speak. Ironically though, his aggressive approach intimidates her, leading Gray to mistakenly suspect that Sven hates her. In truth, he is simply delighted by her calming scent. Lord El Malloy II helped Sven uncover and reclaim several of his family's lost arts. They were prestigious enough for Sven to be recognized by the Mages Association, and because of this, he became the youngest mage in the Clock Tower to reach the rank of Pride. This implies that Sven is capable of far more than tracking certain smells. Sven's specialty is a complete transformation. By chanting Polita Mors as the activation spell, he envelops his body within a phantasmal wolf that grants him superhuman strength, speed, and ferocious claws. While he can take the form of other animals, the legendary werewolf suits him best. No other form of bodily enhancement can top how fast and deadly he becomes. Thanks to this phantasmal shell, he avoids directly becoming a werewolf, preserving his sanity while benefiting from a profound, animalistic nature. His phantasmal legs allow him to outrun cars, and his claws can cleave through steel. Sven has the control to only manifest what he needs in a given moment. In other words, he can transform just his arms and legs without needing to adjust his torso or face. The active portions of his body glow with an aura of mana. This mana can also take the form of a tail that protects him from incoming attacks. When fully embodying the werewolf, Sven can tear through even the most fortified mage workshops. He also makes for a swift and reliable mount if he needs to transport his allies. One could say Sven's nose is superior to a wolf's. Not only can he identify and trace thousands of smells, he can also sniff out an opponent's flaws or weaknesses. This, paired with flat spell manipulation, makes the two of them reluctant yet irreplaceable partners. Even on his own, though, Sven's howling is strong enough to damage his surroundings and disrupt active spells. The same roar can cause his body to split into 6 identical copies, allowing him to single-handedly fight as a pack of wolves. Despite having all these amazing abilities, Sven avoids using them unless they're necessary. He'd much rather continue to study a wide variety of spells, and yet his professor insists he focuses on improving his bestial magecraft, as it's what the Clock Tower recognizes him for. Thus, he continues to develop his skills to his own detriment. His brain, skin, nerves, muscles, bones, and magic circuits all change to better accommodate his craft. Strangely, to become the best mage he can, he must abandon the part of himself that craves to learn magecraft to begin with. Regardless, he puts his faith in Lord El Malloy II, trusting he can preserve both his strength and will. I mentioned earlier that Sven is a rarity in the mage world. This is mostly due to the contradicting nature of his craft, but it certainly doesn't help that bestial magecraft faces direct opposition. Kaduk Zemlapis of the Chaldea Security Organization practices an equally rare form of anti-beast magecraft. As the name implies, his spells were developed to hunt animals rather than become them. The reason this is rare is that, with the invention of modern weaponry, humans no longer rely on mystery to thwart nature's creatures. Kaduk is an unimpressive mage with an obsolete legacy, yet his skills would be ideal for fighting Sven, should such conflict ever arise. Given how much of magecraft is determined by pedigree, this serves as decent advice to play to your own strengths. Perhaps you cannot control your specialty, but you can certainly make the most of it. In summation, bestial magecraft embodies the various means through which mages harness the power of animals. It's an extension of strengthening and enhancement, but can reach even greater heights at the risk of mental corruption. Resist fully succumbing to these animal instincts, and you may be able to overpower even the strongest of warriors. While it's generally advised not to study this craft for its downsides, you might not have much choice. In that case, Sven Glasshide proves that even the most obscure forms of magecraft can be harnessed effectively. For our next lesson, I want to delve into more mythology by covering various forms of the underworld and afterlife. During the Age of Gods, death often meant something different than how we view it today. Given how mages are often risking their lives, I believe it's worth investigating death from different ancient cultures to see if they have any practical use. Thanks for watching. This channel relies on support from viewers like you.
Please help us out by dropping a like and comment. Subscribe for more videos, and be sure to enable notifications. Or hit up our Discord so you never miss out on a new upload.
Most importantly, if you can spare it, please sign up as a channel member, either through YouTube, Patreon, or Subscribestar. You can find links in the description. We've got perks like exclusive content or early access.
Until next time,
Celebrate your fandom! I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Otaku Mom, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Olympian Doll, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Sal Soto, Tristan Riggin, Winter's Edge, Dionysus, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Sith Lord 906, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kango X 77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.